favorites. Whenever you next to some block hit a star, where is the star? Actually, I don't see it. Maybe it isn't displayed in the main page. I think next to upvotes. Oh yeah, here. Here you can hit a star, and then it's in your favorites. I treat this as something like bookmarks, like to do, that I want to go through. Satisfying rating? I guess so. 3000 is a nice rating. And yeah, so we have here sort before insert. I don't know what exactly it is. Then closest pair problem. This I think I already covered, so there is nothing for me to go through. Speed up the recursion. Yes, we will do that. This I think I've already read. This interview I didn't. Okay, smallest edge. This one I also want to read. And this I think I did it. I don't know. And this, I watched the video, I didn't read the blog, I think, if there's something in the blog. Yeah, so that's the plan. I've been studying lots of blogs recently. Codeforces is going through a knowledge sharing wave. Yes, I think that in past months there are a lot of educational blogs, and that's amazing. Background. This background, I bought it. It's a physical background. Start from easiest. We can try. We can try. I know what I want to do first. All right, first this thing. Here's the link. There is this free Olympiad mentoring, mainly for Indian students, but not only for them. I don't take part in this, but it's a great initiative. So I will, I guess, at the end of this stream, remind you all about this as well. So, you know, great thing. You can only gain something from that. UFDS mentoring is great. Their name is not great. I cannot remember it. Like, I didn't know what to Google. UFDS, Union Find Data Structure, right? They should change the name. When Markov changed block, as far as I remember, you saw few lots. Okay, so are you saying that still there aren't any good Markov chains block and I should make one, or what? What are your thoughts on this block? Well, if you give me a shortened link, I'm scared to click it. Give me a normal link. Division to round? Not likely. If I am to create a round, then I will make division 1 problems as well. Click it, no virus. Yeah, that's exactly what you would say if it was a virus. Rickrolled. All right. To be honest, Rickroll is fine. For a streamer, it's more scary if it's some kind of porn or just anything illegal. Though I think I'm safer here because I'm not Twitch partner, so it's not that they are that... they shouldn't care that much. Right. Exchange for money? Of course, I will do anything for money. So, sure. That was a joke, by the way. Yeah. So this thing, free mentoring for Olympiad students. By the way, if you actually want to pay something, this mentoring is free, but different topic. It's not related. There are also my paid classes. There are $60 per hour in groups of size 3, and they start now, like in a few days. So if you're interested, then on my YouTube channel you will find my email, or you can use Codeforces. So now, what's easiest here? This seems quite complicated. Closest pair I already covered. I don't think there is anything more there. This remind me at the end to again shield this free mentoring thing. Yes, I've read it, I analyzed it. Then I will just unstar it. Maybe we can start with this speed up thing. The link is here. I will update the link command as well. Do I teach Python? If there will be 3 people wanting to learn in Python, then sure. By default is C++. Python makes sense only for beginners. So if you are a beginner, then it makes sense for you to hope that there will be 2 more. But if you want like Codeforces 2000 difficulty problems, then no, only C++. How about you check this block? No, thank you. Deep recursion. Deep recursion in Java is slow. Consider this DFS for 500,000 vertices. 2 seconds. Okay, it sucks. Let's speed up. First add 2 dummy parameters. Then 0.1 seconds. Okay, let's see. What did we have first? You're given vertex, its parent, and by reference, I guess, the array of neighbors. And we do standard DFS. Depth 100,000 them. It's quite normal. For graphs are usually of size few 100,000. Alright, so this is normal DFS. This is how I would implement it. I would make this global, at least in C++. But doesn't matter much if you pass it by reference. Now, what did they change? Current depth and max depth. I don't know what this means. I have no idea. But is this faster? Max value. Oh, we pass infinity here, so it shouldn't matter. GIT. GIT is some kind of Java compiler. Just-in-time compilation, alright. Method cannot be recompiled while it is being executed. First version uses not optimized version. What? I understood nothing. So it seems that if you add those 2 parameters, maybe we want this. Maybe want to see this side by side. This is. How do I go about that? Okay, this is one version. This is the other. And I for now don't understand if the difference is about the fact that we tell compiler that the depth will not exceed something, or the difference just comes from those two parameters and the fact that they change. That matters. Monaghan's Fortunes algorithm block. Okay, I will. JIT also in C++, alright. So, well, let's continue reading. Make sure all branches are actually run. It would be wrong to call this. Well, yeah, max depth is infinity. We don't want to really limit it. Doesn't work very well on Codeforces. Okay, yeah, they should have said that at the very beginning. In Codeforces, this trick doesn't matter. It works in AdCoder. Works for recursion at least 100,000 and only in some platforms. What are we trying to learn here? To make Java faster. I'm not a Java user, so I don't know what's going on. Today I'm going through several Codeforces blogs that I have asked to do. I wanted to read them. I guess we need to read this explanation again. When some method is called too frequently, JIT optimizes it. Alright, in both cases the same method is called very frequently. Gets recompiled in runtime, and on every new call the recompiled version will be called. Method cannot be recompiled while it is being executed. We enter into not first version, the left one. We enter into not optimized DFS and use it. Short DFS calls. Chat, do you understand it? Because I don't. Again, the two possibilities are first that we tell compiler here that the depth will be finite, and the second is that something changes thanks to the fact that I passed a different variable, but well, x is modified anyway. Short DFS calls. Yes, I don't know what's going on. No, the part will execute. Like, this is correct DFS, the one from the right. The max depth is infinity, so basically this line does nothing. It's like saying here, if current depth is greater than infinity, then finish. My email is not on my YouTube channel. Well, it is published there, so I can as well say it here. This, in case you want to, erichta@gmail.com, in case you want those 3-person group classes, but they are quite expensive. First we call with max depth 0. Oh, that's the difference. Okay. So we make sure that this is run a lot of times from scratch, and then it gives us something. Right, I see. I see. it's about this. Now the difference comes from running just this once and running this 100,000 times for max depth equal to 0. In each of those cases, after one operation we break anyway, we return from the function, and then running this again. Already Java understood that this is very frequently run function, so it gets optimized. Now I understand. I am becoming obsolete. That's sad. This link isn't to a particular video, right? Copilot doing lead code coding challenges? What? AI might be doing coding screen better than us. Oh, that's AI doing problems? I want to see that. Okay, so next up we want to watch this video. Oh, no, when I don't know what triggers it in Windows, but when I move my mouse a little bit, this happens. Okay, I want to understand it. Okay, everything hides. Everything appears. What's the idea of this? And on my second screen also all the windows, you know, with OBS and Twitch disappeared. Well, okay, this Java block is sure cool trick. Only on specific sites. That sucks because no guarantee, right? It's cool that this exists. I don't care. Psychic mouse. I guess so. Do you meditate? No, I don't. That's because I'm clicking on a tab? No, I'm not. Look. So also, even if I did that, then this is not explained. Okay, see. Let's say this is happening. But now I have a lot of windows, right? My second hand is here, so I only use my mouse. This gesture. I don't understand the idea. Like why we have something like this. It's very strange. But alright. At least now I will know that I need to just repeat the same gesture. Or gesture? Gesture. Now, AI doing lead code problems. I want to see that. Go solve hard problems. Oh, that wasn't to me. Some practice tips to reach GM. Solve problems. Your level doesn't matter. Read this. You're dragging the tab to the next window. Oh, if you mean this, then yes, but that's not what happened. Like just this is possible everywhere apparently. All right. AI doing lead code coding challenges. Is it really AI? Okay, chat will be not visible for some time. Actually, whatever. This way is better. Copilot is the new AI thing by GitHub and Microsoft where they suggest code. Oh, but here it just suggested FizzBuzz. Oh yeah, so this is some... I thought that it's something smart. I don't see what happened exactly. Why after typing solution once it suggested the full code for FizzBuzz and once for permutations. But fine. GitHub Copilot. Does it just guess tokens? Every next token? I can believe that it is able to implement a function is positive given a number, but the database, the number of codes we have for hard algorithmic problems is just too small for this to work. So there were projects like that. Codeforces solving AI. I think there was near project. It's near. Are we close to machines solving ICPC problems? If you want to read something related, then this is the blog. Completing trivial functions, sure, that's easy. I'm awesome. Well, thank you 101 times. If you wanted to do it 100 times, then you should have written I smaller than 101. Let's move on. While true, well, we don't want that. Try to read that 10 new messages. There are 9 old messages, and I'm sure I will tell you how many pages of messages I have, and this will okay. I will show you something. This is the bottom of my messages page. I have 333 pages of messages. I guess that every page is around 10 messages. I'm counting now. 10, 11, 12, 25, 30. I have around 10,000 messages in Codeforces. And yes, 9 of them are unread, but it's not that it's easy to get them. I would need to scroll through pages, like open every next page. It's a lot of time. Obviously, most of those messages come from last 2 or 3 years when I started using YouTube. So you can figure from this how many messages a day I get. Yeah, it's a lot, and it's impossible to answer to everybody. Sometimes I do answer, but not always. Alright, next block. Mark all messages as read. I don't see such an option. Actually, this maybe doesn't exist because whenever you open a page with messages, automatically everything will be marked as read. So it would be enough for me to click all those pages. And normally when you click a page, when you have the first page, all the last 30 messages will be marked as read. But what happened here is that I apparently opened a page and more than 30 were unread. And I didn't get to those old ones. And they are from more than a year ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Please OEN for once. What is that? Solve lots of problems, not worth it. Can someone help me? I solved almost 950 problems on Codeforces of difficulty level until 2000. This contribution doesn't want me to, like, I don't want to answer. I see. I'm not surprised by downvotes if you write something like this. And I guess here just problem without a source. Still, maybe let's answer. You have done like 2000 problems. Your average difficulty is 1500. What's his rating? Oh, 1300. Then it's, I think, reasonable. That's a nice chat comment. Codeforces messages makes me feel like living in medieval times. Maybe. Do you plan to use Vim anytime in the future? No. But you can switch to Genie if you use Vim. What I will answer here now is the same I answered in the past. No. If you can solve if you can solve problems or speed during contests and outside of them, you should be able eventually. If during contests and outside of them you solve problems in similar speed, then, well, obviously eventually you will get your rating, because you know outside of contests what you can do, right? If he did 2000 problems, then of course that's not enough to get 2000 rating. But if he consistently is able to solve problems of rating 1500, then he will get rating of, well, whatever you get if you solve problems of that difficulty. If you worse or slower during contests, means you Grammarly at work. Yeah, Grammarly is a cool add-on. I'm not sponsored by them, but because I write a lot, it is useful. If you do a lot of writing in English and it's not your native language, then I do recommend Grammarly. And the free version is enough. I have the paid subscription, paid version. It's quite expensive. I don't think it's worth it for everybody. So I believe that that maybe only 1 or like at most 5% of you, the viewers, should get it, the premium version, I mean. Genie compatible with Windows? Yes, it is, I think. Italy or Spain? Good question. I think Spain. Historically, I cheered more for Spain. When I played FIFA 07, which was like 14 years ago, I mainly played either FC Barcelona or Real Madrid, and I guess from there, I would say Spain. How to perform better under pressure? Don't worry about the contest. I don't know if this sentence will help you, because I didn't perform any study or something, but consider this. The worse you do during contest, or maybe the lower your rating, any of them later, it's easier to go up in the next contest, right? I don't know if you feel convinced with this. Obviously, it doesn't work for important contests like IOI or something like that. So maybe it's not the best advice. But for Codeforces, if somebody does poorly, I would say this. Be happy that you went down by, let's say, 100 rating. You couldn't come up with a solution, you went down. Well, easy to go up next time, right? And for big contests, for important ones like IY, ICPC, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't feel stress. I did contests since I was a small child, math contests. The only time when I feel some stress is really finals of a contest, like finals of Google Code Jam, finals of ICPC. Then yeah, I feel something. But during normal contests, not really. So ask some psychologist. Maybe this sports, I don't know, maybe sports psychologists. There's an incoming +100. Exactly. Codeforces edu, yeah, I think it's good. Just not very vast. You will not find a lot of things there. Alright. Now back to something educational. Good question, solving good questions from ARC and ABC. Editorials on Codeforces are bad enough that it's okay if I solve Codeforces problems. I can consider them, but I don't think I will go down to ABC. Like ABC is good if you are a beginner. Just I leave such beginner content to other people. I cannot do everything. I need to choose what range of difficulty I want to cover during my streams. Okay, chat, what do we want? Segment tree implementation or interview with Rubens, a teacher, or let's say merge sort. What do you want? Merge sort, interview, or segment tree? I want to go through some blocks that I marked as to do for me to read. Again, the question is Ming good? I don't know. I don't use it. ABC has Lagrange problems? Do they? Aren't you talking about a RC? Segment tree and maybe later interview. Link is here. ABC, really? They use FFT and something like that? That's very bad. Right, let's read this. Can we find required node? We go for a tangent. This is some old blog. Can you find, for example, each red node in constant time? Okay, and they mean O of the number of nodes. And almost always we do that in logarithmic time. Efficient and easy segment trees. So it gets all the way down to this blog from 6 years ago. I saw this one or reference to this one many times. I use some different implementation. Something that is like, I always hated this line. It's so bad to use something like that. First of all, it's bad to use those characters. Isn't divided by 2 more easy for you to understand? Yeah, so this code tries to use very few lines, and that's bad. You shouldn't care about that. Am I late? Not that late. I'm now starting a new topic, reading this blog about segment trees. Yes, L divided equal to is better. It's easier to understand for everybody. All this, some crazy stuff that is anyway equally fast because compiler will do the same thing for both. Do you think it's normal to stay stuck in 1000 rating? Yes. Sorry. Another wisdom for you. If you expect to go, say, 200 rating per month up, if you go up 200 rating per month, you will beat tourist in a year. Not really a year, in 2 years. Okay, so lesson: you shouldn't go up 200 rating per month. Okay. Being for 1 month on the same difficulty is perfectly fine. It's strange if you don't do that. Obviously, it's easier to go for easier ratings, but how much time did it take me? I think this is year 2014. I started any kind of Polish Olympiad for the first time. I participated in 2011 was the finals of that, but I didn't advance. So in 2010, I started participating to Polish Olympiad. This is at least 3 years. Yeah, this is 3 years after I started coding. So in 3 years, I guess I got to level of around 2200. After doing 10 years of math, like really a lot of math contests. We can kind of say that I needed 13 years to get to this level. Right, so I understand what was going on here. Now, what's this new thing? Parallel node resolution method. I almost want to say that I remember reading this blog. Chinese Codeforces improve so quickly even after participating in Codeforces regularly. They usually have some experience outside of Codeforces. My first program, 13. Classic implementation from CP algorithms. I want to know I want to code my own version. Benchmark code. Main code. Both are very long. I want to compare them with my own version to see if I should care. I clicked something. So standard implementation 7.5 seconds. Optimized standard version 4.5. Bottom up. I use bottom up implementation when possible, when we don't need some lazy propagation, complicated stuff. Tourist has been doing problem solving for 18 years, right? Then if he started from 0, then he got 200 rating per month. Oh, sorry, per year. Then he's quite slow. This is very fast. Requires AVX2 instructions which are supported on Codeforces. Do we use Pragma AVX or something like that first? We don't. I thought that first line will be Pragma 03, Pragma this, Pragma that. Are those some magical lines? Oh, target AVX2. Okay, those are magical lines. I don't know what is this. Do we have access to 256 bit? Or the vectorization is about getting a few ints and doing something with them parallelly. I don't know this stuff. Those are basically vector data types. CCNO, too long message, sorry. I'm doing something else. Okay, then I don't think I want to know, try to understand it. I don't understand vectorization. Maybe one day I should, but yeah, I'm skipping this thing. Especially because I never in my life even used Fenwick trees, which are quite fast. So segment trees are enough. It's actually surprising that I never needed to really speed up segment trees, even to optimize log squared to something a little bit faster. Add segment tree implementation video to Edu. Send me a message on Codeforces or Discord reminding that. Thank you. And thank you, Limac, a lot for timestamps for recent streams. Lost 150 rating in 1 year. That's the speed. So I'm sorry I'm not going for this one. Back to my start blogs. This goes away. I think this we can easily exclude because I already saw parts of the video. What was that about? I remember that it wasn't groundbreaking. I understood from some drawings and few comments. So if it wasn't that important, then let's just unstar. Something else, something older maybe. Quadrangle inequality properties. This will be heavy. Beautiful. That's my old editorial. I guess I wanted to finish something there. Why is this in my favorites? Shortest path modeling. Okay, this is something easy, so also will be interesting to you. Okay. The harder block I will go through, the more people from the audience will not understand what's going on. This joint-burst allows you to do idempotent functions in this. F of x is f of x. Like, let's say maximizing with 5. Done twice will not do anything more. No, I don't use CMake. Alright, so that's... Yeah, I remember that I went through that video a little bit. The thing is that I have very bad memory. A lot of times when I see a problem or some technique, if it's not groundbreaking and something that I completely don't understand, then I will often say, okay, I understand, or I would get it myself, and I will not try to actively remember it. So right now, I don't really remember, even though I saw it a month or 2 months ago, that this joint sparse table. I don't remember what that was, but apparently past Camille thought that if I see a problem requiring this during a contest, I will figure it out. Shortest path modeling tutorial. Oh, and in case you're curious why I even start something like this, I'm interested in two types of blogs, at least two types. One is something that I don't know, and the other type is something educational where I would learn how to teach better. I like seeing examples, how people, for example, explain Dijkstra. For a lot of algorithms, I went through multiple articles and videos just to see how people explain Dijkstra or DP. Dynamic programming is just crazy how abstract it is in some way. Really, before my YouTube lectures, I spent so many hours, I'm sure more than 10 hours, going through various resources in the internet to see if there's anybody who really intuitively explains DP. And I don't think so. Explain graph state, that's pretty vague. Okay, let's read this. Shortest path problems are really common. There are uncountable problems that can be reduced to some shortest path problem on graph. In this post I will show some different problems that require some extra thinking because they are not the usual shortest path problems. There are additional constraints to the problem. For most high-rated coders, this is still common stuff, but I hope I can help some newcomers out there. I recently solved this problem, was recently shared about a much faster way to do this. Can solve 800 but cannot solve 1000. What I should do, read Competitive Programmer's Handbook. Find k-shortest flight routes. K is at most 10. So it's like Dijkstra, but we maintain sets. I think you can solve for much higher K as well. What I would try to do here, Gupta, is Dijkstra, but just instead of cheapest price, I would store 10 best as sorted vector. I think sorted vector will be fastest. Is the solution different? Now back here. Yeah, we're reading this. You could use a heap? Yes, I could use it. But sorted vector will be faster because always we will just merge two sorted vectors. That's linear. So vector will be faster than heap. Keep pointer for each node incremented k times. I have no idea what that is. Keep pointer for each node. I don't understand. About graph modeling. I will later get back to that CSCS problem. Later, after the blog. Additional constraints. Modifying Dijkstra sometimes. We must change our graph so that the traditional shortest path algorithm will solve the problem with added constraints. This is called graph modeling. Sometimes we don't keep the graph in memory. The problem I like a lot, that is some kind of abstract graphs, is you're given a graph with n nodes and m forbidden edges. Maybe this. There is a full graph with n nodes, meaning they're all the edges. M edges AI, BI are destroyed. And now run DFS. For example, let's say count connected components. N and M is up to standard limits, 200,000. This is a problem I like a lot. I often use it during some kind of educational camp or private lessons. You can think about it. After the block, I will tell you the solution. The problem is basically run, for example, DFS without being able to iterate through all the edges, because the number of edges is huge. The number of edges is n squared, around n squared minus m, which is like up to 2 to 10th power or so. It's true, I don't like graphs. Binary search block? No, thank you. What we want to build is a state graph. In this graph, every vertex will store additional information representing some state of the problem. I would argue that all DP problems are about this, about figuring out a state and transitions. Because really, DP and Dijkstra are more related than you think. Finite state machine, and we are going to compute the shortest path. That will not help beginners, but sure. Construction of state graph is usually the challenge in this kind of problem, and after the graph is built, we will have a good time using Dijkstra's algorithm. True. Or BFS, if edges are unit edges. DJ Extra. That's a good way to pronounce Dijkstra. Some people say Dijkstra, and I don't know which one is correct. He was Dutch, I think. Dutch? He was from Netherlands. We can also say Dijkstra. Statement 1. You want to travel from A to B. Can store up to C liters of fuel. This block is very related to dynamic programming. The what is important so far thing from my DP lectures. Dig extra. Okay. Canik, you win. Dig extra. From now on I will use that. What is important so far from my YouTube DP videos? It's important in what city you are and what's your amount of fuel. If you go through some graph and you have some number of liters of fuel in your tank. And how much money you spend. It's a DP problem. Build the state graph. Presents a pair city current fuel. And this. In solutions to DP problems, they, in first or second sentence, they say what's the state. And for sure, this is not a lecture. This is just showing a solution to a problem. And it's fine for this. It's fine for this lecture, because this lecture isn't supposed to teach you DP. But I saw it so many times in various platforms. Codeforces did code some kind of books. They tell you what should be the DP state. I also do that during streams, because I don't have time to teach you about DP from scratch every time. Implement this algorithm in OOP way with all the models. Sometimes I implement things well, but not 100% well. No, I will not move now to solving your problems. If it's about shortest path, then maybe. 2 kinds of edges. We can charge a liter of fuel. And we can move to a neighbor. Well, yes, of course. In any time, at any moment of this process, when you go through some graph, you have some amount of fuel, and you spent already some money, then there are things that describe your journey so far, like the current situation, and they are where you are, how much fuel you have, and third is how much money you spent. And almost always in DP, and this is also a DP problem, I would say, we maximize or minimize one of them, unless we count. Sometimes we count the number of ways. Here we minimize the amount of money spent, because that's what the statement said. It happens that really this is dimension of DP, and instead we minimize or maximize some other parameter, but it's rare. So here, the solution is that what's important is where we are, so the current node, let's say V, how much fuel we have, and the total cost so far. The cost we minimize, so I move it out as DP value, and then I have V fuel, where this int represents the minimum cost to be in that vertex V and to get that amount of fuel. And DP you do iteratively whenever you know in what order to go through states. Here it's not correct to go through nodes increasingly from 1 to n, or through fuel from 0 to f, because you sometimes spend fuels, you sometimes gain it, so you cannot figure out proper iterative order for this. Instead we need to do it recursively, or in other words, we need to do Dijkstra. Okay, Dijkstra is not recursive, so I lied a little bit, but still, if you Dijkstra is a way to figure out the order of doing states. Cadane is DP? Yes, it is. Yes. Instead we say that we do Dijkstra, and for every pair V fuel we want to know the minimum cost to get there. And we do Dijkstra over those states. Always we choose state with minimum cost, and we move from there. And of course transitions are what? From, let's say, node 5 with the amount of fuel 60, you can move to 561 with cost, whatever is the cost of refueling in this city. Sometimes you need to do a lot of transitions, like you need to say, oh, but also from this I can go to 562. Like I can refuel by any amount, but it's enough to say that there is this edge, and from this state you can also refuel by another unit. So in this problem it's enough to say that at once you can only refuel by one unit, but you can repeat that operation, and it gets the number of transitions down. And obviously there are edges to neighbors. The total number of edges here is not trivial to compute, but it's m times fuel. You can think about it on your own. What's the number of edges in this problem? I appreciate the drawing. If you look at the code, there is a catch. You don't need to explicitly build the state graph. That's true. When you are in this state, it's not that you needed to in advance store all the edges that got out of here. You just know that there is this edge to 561, representing refueling 1 unit from 60 in your tank to 61. And also you can go through neighbors of 5, and that's it. You don't need to store what states you can reach directly from this one. Problem 2. You're given an usual undirected graph. What is usual? You want to find shortest path from A to B, but there's an additional constraint. You must use an even amount of edges. Oh, it's a problem from Polish Olympiad 2. I was so proud that I solved it. That was my first finals of Polish Olympiad. Where will I find problems? In that blue book. I wanted to find English version. Let me make sure that it's indeed the same. Maybe not. There are n nodes and m edges. Oh, okay, no, it's not the same. There are k queries. In each of them you're given starting node, ending node, and the number of times you move. So it's similar but not the same. I was very proud that I solved it. So that this is Polish Olympiad 20. So what's year? What year? 2013. That's problem. I know, C stories. I'm not sure about the translation of the title. The statement says that there is a graph, so a small one, and there are queries. Can you get from S to T in exactly this number of moves? And here, just like in this problem from Codeforces, the parity was very important. Because if you can get from S to T in, let's say, 15 moves, then you can also get in 17 moves, because you can once more repeat going through some edge and back. So if 15 is possible, then also 17 is possible, 19, 21, and so on. That was the first step in that problem. And this Codeforces problem seems similar. All right. Shortest path from A to B, but there is an additional constraint. You must use an even amount of edges. The states will be the same as in that C stories, and actually the whole solution will be the same, but in C stories we also have one last step that is needed. But both solutions will, for such a pair AB, will compute the shortest even path and shortest odd path. Because in this problem, when you start from A, you keep moving. There are two things that matter: where you are, so the current node, and what's the parity so far, whether you moved even or odd number of times. And it's like doubling every vertex. There will be two end states indeed. Those are good. Those are two good educational problems. I would maybe say that this one should go first. This other one is more complicated. It's like just like DP. But yeah. I would, as problem 0, put something where you just don't store edges explicitly. Like the problem I told you at the beginning, but maybe you can come up with something easier. Oh yeah, I know. I would use something like this. Given creating problems right, creating problems live. You are given n strings of length, each has length up to 10, starting from some string. You can repeatedly change one character, but only if the new string exists, the dictionary. Answer queries. Find the shortest path between two strings. Maybe even one query, I'm not sure. Yeah, one, I guess for now, one query, but there will be different versions of this problem. Believe me or not, I didn't think about the details because now I came up with the problem. Find shortest path from string S1 to string S2. This is a graph problem. there are end nodes and there are edges between some strings. Two strings are connected if and only if they differ by just one character on some position. And it's not that you want to, maybe here you actually can store edges, but the graph isn't explicitly given. So I would say that this is step 0 in this lesson of solving graph problems not explicitly. The trick here is actually to find edges. The real difficulty, I see how it's different from the block. So maybe it's not that good of a problem, but still. So first step here is, let's call it a hint. For every string here, we need to find all the edges. So consider changing, iterate characters and consider changing them. This is how you can find edges going out of a string. It's a Dijkstra problem. I don't want me to solve. Just a few words of wisdom. Few words of wisdom, like a general wisdom. I don't know. Don't get scammed. That kind of wisdom. Oh, so you're giving me a problem. You can represent 0, this, that, yeah, sure. Two nodes SE, print the second shortest path length from S to E. Yeah. Gupta previously provided this CSCS problem where we need to find k shortest paths. And in your version, Darshan, and in this one, what I would do is I would just do Dijkstra, where I wouldn't just keep one element, I would keep two. Oh, I see. And then for Dijkstra, it just means that we multiple time will put it in that heap, right? I see. So if you found a path, let's say, if you found a path of length 50 to get to node V, let's say V is 7. In 50 steps you can get to V. In Dijkstra it's usually represented as, let's say, a pair, 50, 7. This is somewhere in Dijkstra, in a heap or something. In heap we have that. And normally in Dijkstra now, if you consider another edge and you see, oh, I can get to vertex 7 and then I will have cost 52, we usually skip it because we already found a better solution for 7. This time, if we want to find multiple shortest paths to something, we also later will put in heap, okay. Apparently 7 can also be done in length 52. The bad thing about this is that it doesn't check for repetitions. Darshan Kul said in his problem we are not allowed to visit a node more than once. That's harder, but maybe it's easier because just second shortest path. Okay, so in heap we can put something there many times. Just when you are here, visited of 7++ is what we do, and when we visited of 7 exceeds 10, then we stop considering this. And this means for every node, including here 7, I will know 10 best paths. How to sort blocks in Codeforces? I don't know how. By this point, even I say Ericto instead of Ericto. Because by default, it was supposed to be with H, like in honey, Ericto, but in English it doesn't make sense. Stupid nickname. Right, so we know the solution to this. This was a good block. I do recommend it. So chat, here again, the link. Actually, this works, right? Yeah, that's the link. That's a good block. You should give it another read if you didn't fully understand it. I even want to hear comment that this is a good blog. Oh, because why is this in my start even? That's so old. Maybe this is now a bit too late to say cool blog. Meaning something else in Wikipedia? What do you mean? My nickname doesn't mean anything. How to get scholarship for University of Warsaw? I don't know. Google it. I'm not an employee of University of Warsaw. It is not a car parking. It's a train parking. There is a train station very nearby. Do I want to comment here? I told you that I would tell you the solution. Okay, here. So let's say, do I want to draw something? I want to draw. Block I referred for second shortest path, but it doesn't consider non-repeating nodes. Very old blog. Okay, I don't want to read it. What else do you do besides coming and streaming and teaching? You mean like in my free time? I'm sure there is something written here. I don't know, play board games. Sometimes read a book, listen to a podcast. Okay, so now solution to this problem from the left. What's the solution? One of the solutions is DFS. And in DFS what we do, always when we have a node, actually some are already visited, and always we are in some particular node and we want to go through neighbors. So this step, go through neighbors, iterate the neighbors, we want to do efficiently. Of course, brute force way for this is something like that. For every, let's say that I am A, for every B, if forbidden edges, this will be kind of pseudocode, doesn't contain a pair AB, then go to B. This is brute force for this problem. It's just DFS. For every node, when you are in some node, you need to, among neighbors of A, find all the not yet visited. Oh yeah, it's not forbidden and not yet visited. That's DFS. Go for neighbors. If not visited, then go to B. And we need to do it faster, because right now it's quadratic. For every node, you go through all the n nodes. Please do a speed type. Maybe at the end of the stream. And the solution is to instead iterate over not yet visited nodes, which is, I would say, surprising, but well, it works. So instead we do something like this. For A, for B not visited, if forbidden node contains AB. Go to B. What happened? This is the same code, just I'm checking something in different order. this is some node, let's say A, and in the first version I check for all the nodes, like node 1, the later node 2, node 3 maybe is here, also I will check that, and for each of them I consider this edge. If this edge exists and 1 is not yet visited, then in DFS I go to 1. Same for 2 and so on, like standard DFS. What happens on the right, if I have this container with not visited yet nodes, so something that stores only the nodes that are not yet visited, those, let's put that in some color. If I have a set with blue stuff, this is not yet visited, not visited, then I can iterate through them in complexity linear of the number of them, and for each of them, if the forbidden from the input do not contain it, remember in the input we had m destroyed edges. By forbidden I meant destroyed, maybe that's a better name. Destroyed. If destroyed doesn't contain the pair AB, then we go to B. And the reason why this is fast is that this line is done only linear number of times, which is maybe first hard to understand. This line, it exactly, or maybe, I'm not sure if exactly, maybe a bit less, this. Because you skip something once for every edge from the input. That's the solution. This is not an easy problem, so I don't expect all of you to understand, but it's enough. So if you want, later after the stream you can analyze this more. I don't remember source of this problem, so I cannot give you a link. Joint set disunion. If somebody has a Codeforces link, then that would be nice. I think it was a Codeforces problem. Yeah, and this should be a set. So always when we visit something, instead of just typing visited of B is true, we maintain this not visited set. Initial we put everything there, everything from 1 to n, and whenever we visit B or something like that, we say this. This is how we mark as visited. Connected components question marks. Great. Thank you, Nor Codeforces. NorCF. Exactly, that's this problem. Great. So non-destroyed edges problem. Thank you. I even solved it in some stream. Well, I don't see that I submitted the solution, but maybe I talked about it. Complement graph traversal. Exactly. That sounds like a professional name for this. Complement graph traversal. But if you are yellow, let's say, you should understand something like this, and you should be familiar with not just treating algorithms like black boxes. For example, DFS. DFS is not just a black box where you provide some graph and it does something. No, you control what you do there inside. In particular, thanks to not treating this as black box, you should understand that you can use a two-dimensional matrix of adjacency, and sometimes it will be faster. Please see submissions. But why? I didn't make a submission. If you want me to see your submission, then no. Battle snake. I don't know what that is. Sounds like some kind of Ligma joke. EV videos, they were too good. You're welcome. So I don't know if I already voted, but I wanted to. Cannot vote twice. Oh, still this ugly thing about Codeforces. You cannot change your vote. If you vote by mistake, the other thing, you cannot change it. That's so bad. how to earn points by sheer snake game. If it's some kind of game competition where you write a bot, then well, it's fine, but it's not that I have too much time and I need to spend it on something like this. Clip so bad and show to Mike. I'm sure that Mike is aware of this. Just apparently it's hard to change. People complained about it multiple times. Difference between me and tourist? Our name? What do you want? What's the similarity? We are we are good at competitive programming, but for sure there are hundreds of differences. System design? No, I'm not good at system design. Right, we went through a few blogs. Coding game had a bot contest. They often hold a bot contest. Right, we went through a few streams, a few blogs. Last one, let's make it more chill and less educational. Interview with Ruben, PhD in physics and mathematics, and that will be it. Oh, he participates a lot. And there are two types of people in that case. Some then complain and they write blogs where they ask what's going on and whether they should give up. And some people in this situation, they enjoy it, and that's perfectly fine. For example, I don't know, you can like running and still you will not be in, maybe you will not be in top 1 million in the world. This still is in top, what, 10,000 in the world? So I understand that this graph is not motivating. Like if you have this graph, you will not feel that you will reach the top. But I'm sure he likes it. It was volleyball. Gupta, it was volleyball. Online right now? Many people are. I should have a second person to read the other messages. I should do collaboration streams more often. Were you surprised by my message that you had taken more contests on Codeforces than anybody else? Whoa. No, I wasn't. I knew it for sure. There have only been several occasions when I missed rounds because of high rating. I think not many. Not more than 20 to 30. Wait, what? He did almost all the contests? Now that's impressive. 2-6, 2-5, 2-4, 2-3, 2-2, 2-1, 2-0. Whoa! I would now never want to get to Division 1 if I was him, because that would mean missing all the Division 2 contests. Maybe actually he needs to not reveal his full power, because he would advance to Division 1. Almost all the contests. Now that's something interesting. He solved a question in Delphi. At this point he can use all the languages. Do you feel something special about contests with the round number, like 500, 600? No, I wouldn't pay any attention if there were no interview. Oh, I see. The interview is because he participated in 700 contests. I didn't even notice the title. How did you start on Codeforces? Since 2001, long before Codeforces, I have coached the competitive programming team of Siberian State University of Telecommunications and Information Science, and created problems for all Siberian Olympiads. When my students told me that a Russian language analog of Topcoder had appeared with support of Pascal, I registered there. Topcoder is much older than Codeforces. Topcoder started around 2000, and Codeforces, I would say, around 2008. You have been so many years on Codeforces. Your life must have changed in so many ways. How have you managed to find time for contests under so different conditions? My life has not changed much for more than 10 years that I have been with Codeforces. Both the place of work and place of residence are the same. I still teach math at that university and Novosibirsk State University and coach the team. Starting time suits me very well. Usually it is 9:30 in Novosibirsk. Do you compete hard with your students on Codeforces? No, I don't. Firstly, I do not take it too seriously. I believe if I take it seriously, I will compete quite successfully with my best students. Though you really need knowledge of discrete math for competitive programming, and I'm specialized in non-discrete, let's say, continuous math. That makes sense. In Codeforces, we so many times we need counting rather than, let's say, just the calculus. A lot of math is not useful in competitive programming because it's continuous. I perfectly understand this comment. Anyway, it is easier to discuss contest problems at training session after taking part in the contest. True. If you're a trainer of your team, it's good that you know problems. Then you can help them. Codeforces is your base site, isn't it? Yes, it is. There's a lot of functionality there, useful services. It is not always reliable. I remember Codeforces having been down during our Olympiads, but we were lucky to find a way out. I also use Codeforces during camps or during classes with students, where mainly I take problems from Codeforces and put that into a mashup contest to use within a group. And yes, it happens that Codeforces goes out. Polish Olympiad would maybe use Codeforces as the platform to hold contests if we could run our own instance of Codeforces, which is something that I believe Mike did for IOI, not for IOI. There is something big that uses Codeforces. I don't remember if it was IOI. It was so big that Mike gave them the code, the executable, gave them their own version of Codeforces. If Polish Olympiad could get something like that, I think we would use Codeforces and Polygon instead of our own tools. But you cannot run a contest if it can happen that the platform goes down and it's out of your... you cannot solve it possibly. It's not up to you. And obviously something like Amazon, AWS web services, they are more reliable. Their uptime is bigger than 99.99%. Codeforces isn't. Codeforces is your base site, isn't it? Yes, it is. Sure. Are there any issues because of using Pascal? I tried several times to migrate to C++, but I still don't like some features. There are, of course, much more advantages, but there is force of habit. I need to dive in C++, and that is what I'm going to do at the training camp, as soon as I manage to organize them. What type of contest problems do you like more? My favorite topics are geometry, physics and math, continuous math. The more double the answer is, the more I like the problem. Great. It is both a joke and the truth. Accordingly, I create mostly such types of problems myself. The type hated most by the community is the specialty of this man. I applaud. By the way, I also like geometry, and in my ICPC team, I would be the one responsible for all of this, including physics and continuous math. I'm sure that now, if I was in the same team with Radeusz would be better than me in most of math. But still, well, he's better than me in most of the topics. It's not that then he should solve all the problems. So still, I would get geometry, physics, and some math. Oh my god, what is a physics problem in competitive programming? The physics problems is a rather rare type in Olympiad's programming, I would say unreasonably rare one. You can find my problems in training section of All Siberian Olympiad on the CU site. Some people should now note down that they shouldn't participate in that contest. Their authors are not indicated, they are a result of cooperative work of jury team, but all the problems with stories from books by Ilf, and Petrov are more or less connected to me. This is the site of the NSU Olympiads, register, training, navigation bad, couple of problems, Russian bad. What is the best source of knowledge? The best source is communication with people who could explain what you're interested in. True. Not really scalable, but true. What about books? Introduction to Algorithms and Emacs. Emacs is a good source, not extremely well organized, but it's good. We have English version, cpalgorithms.com. And introduction, I don't recommend it to any competitive programmers. I've read it. This is how I learned algorithms, but it's outdated, I think. And there are some heavy proofs there. If you're not strong at math, this will be a very difficult read. China ICPC World Finals physics problem. It was the one about jumping between squares. If so, I didn't solve that problem and that hurt. We didn't get medal because I didn't solve that problem. The physics one. I think it was. So 1 minute spoiler alert for ICPC China. The problem was, I think, something like this. There is a grid. And every square actually has some height. No, this is a block, and every square has such height. And now you consider a person who jumps between them, and you need to understand if you have such a situation. For example, can you jump from this one to, let's say, here grows something? Can you jump from this there? That was the question. So sorry about an ugly drawing. Okay, spoiler done. I'm careful with those spoilers because I know that if some people want to train, for example, for ICPC or IOI, it's a reasonable strategy to avoid spoilers to be able to participate in past few years of the finals. What would you recommend to Olympiads participants? Thanks to my former students, former members of our Olympiads team, I learned the difference between German and Austrian chocolate. That was what would you recommend to Olympiads participants? Between beers from Germany and the Czech Republic, I discovered taste of Californian wine. It is incredibly tasty if you get used to it and much more. When my students visit me there, there are always many talks about places where they had been. Ivan Popriga described the south of Brazil as a respectable and safe place. I am very thankful to all of them for visiting that and talks. I hope next generations will visit his former coach as well. It's surprising how he answers this question, but I agree that this is a big part of competing, the travel and me getting to know people. Also, I find it a little bit funny the comment about the south of Brazil being safe. So imagine, say, same thing about Poland. Oh, actually, west of Poland is safe. You can come visit. It makes you question whether you should visit Poland. South of Brazil, all right. At the top level of CP, how much of it is aptitude and how much it is practice? Aptitude is the talent, right? I don't know that word. Yeah, so some say 50-50, but in general, many people, or most of people, will never get to top 10 of the world. But there are just too many people try, right? So if you're asking about the very top, then you need talent. But the distinction between, 5th and 50th place is for sure. You can achieve that by practice. If you practice a little and you are 50th, then you can practice a lot and I think you will be 5th. Can you recommend me what to do based on my Codeforces profile? Maybe I will do such a stream one day, but I think that it doesn't make any sense. I will try to do it for a random person. Let's say here, this guy. Okay. Solve problems around 2000 difficulty. I don't know what else I can say. I can of course open submissions to see, or just scroll down to see how frequently they submit. Maybe I can use some tools to see what distribution of difficulty they use when practicing. But everything like that, it would take a lot of time. But generally, you know, practice problems of difficulty that is challenging to you, but it's not very easy. Sometimes you can solve it, sometimes not. Editorial is usually, like, you can comprehend the editorial later. It's not that you cannot anyway understand the solution after trying to solve it and after reading the editorial. If you practice those problems, you're good. That's everything I recommend to everybody. Read this. Interactive problem. It means that there isn't just input and output, but instead you need to print something, read something, print something, read something. You interact with the input. Oh, okay, anything else today? Any last questions? I'm wrapping this up. Okay, one more time. There is this very cool thing, free mentoring for Olympiad students, mainly Indian ones, maybe those from India, but not only them. So this is free Olympiad mentoring. I'm not one of the mentors. The list of mentors is here. They are amazing, well, and tedious. I'm just here to advertise something that is great because it's free, and it's so, you know, use it if you think that you would gain from it. Olympiad training, Olympiad mentoring. How do you break down the problem and solve them? I have hundreds now streams. You can go and see how I think about the problem. Okay. And so this is the free advertisement of cool thing, of something that is free, but also within few days I'm starting group lessons. Here are the conditions. 3-person group lessons. The cost is this, $60 per hour. If you can't afford, then, well, still my streams are free. And if you're interested, write to me an email and say what are your skill level and time availability. Skill level and goals, maybe. Write to me an email so that I could match you with 2 other guys. Right. Bye, Lee McBear. Okay, I remember that I was suggested something at the beginning, to put some video in some playlist. Okay, but I need to go through multiple videos like that. DSU versus UFDS. How much per hour per one person? $60. I also might, I tried, but I will not try again. I tried 15-person group lessons, but the amount of organization is crazy there. If I remember correctly, I tried something like this, 15-person, $10 each. But just the amount of writing emails, it was not worth it by far. I wasted too much time there. So I will not repeat that. Maybe if I get somebody else to organize it and I will just come to give a lecture, then maybe. But no, so I'm not doing that. I will also consider something like 8 people paying $20, some kind of cheap version, but by this point, if I want to have a lot of people, then as well I can do streams. So right now, this is my only plan. So Gupta, usually it's 3 people randomly, but if you know each other, then that's great. That's only better. It's easier for me to, if you are already matched and you know you have similar skills. Matching people into group of 3 is difficult for me, just because they will never be the same, you know, in that same time zone. If you and your 2 friends, or even 1 friend, and if you and 1 friend, if the 2 of you want lessons like this, write to me and we will figure it out. If you have suggestions for videos, put them in YouTube comments or in Discord. This is the Discord server. There is Erichta YouTube, their sub-channel. I'm not going to remember suggestions for videos here from stream chat. But still, cool free thing here. That's it for today, guys and gals, or maybe gal. What were my statistics? I think around 5 or 3% of people were female watching. I don't remember. What's the topic of the lessons? Algorithms. I want to get 3 people in with the same level, and then we will practice problems, go through. I sometimes will teach you a new thing, point you to good homework problems. Putting segmentary video in Edu. Alright, I will do that now. Wait, segmentary was in the main channel? Where is the segmentary video? What does it mean to put it in Edu? What is that suggestion? $60 was the price for a person. Speed typing, sure, we can do that. Second channel. But do I have a playlist called Edu?
Anyway, everything you need to know about...
Yeah, I don't know. Where can we contact you for the lessons? My email. erichta@gmail.com. Edu is in main. Yeah, so I cannot add it like that. What I was going to do is I wanted to refine the video and make it for the main channel. Slipstream. Right. Yeah, last thing today. Type speed, no. Type racer. Alright. Here you go. Gotta go fast indeed. Oh, one more thing that recently, well, after the race I will talk about it. Yay, 112. What was I saying? This is the link. Now the link command will work as well. In past few days, 2 companies asked me if I want to go there, actually it's mostly online, and either give some kind of a talk / lecture, paid one, or just regularly make workshops for them. So this might be the next step in my career, or actually one of many things that I do. Instead of paid lessons classes for small groups or just for one person, I can make a company to pay me. Google will not be interested in that, but some small companies maybe, where I would make workshops for them weekly, and their engineers would be better. It seems to be a very reasonable way to improve the skill of your workforce. But I have no idea how I would advertise that. So, you know, if your company wants to improve the skills of your engineers, the algorithmic skills, so it's not equal to engineering level. Congrats, Sharky Boy, that was very nice. Then maybe your company should write an email to me and we will figure it out. Oh yeah, talking slows me down, that's true. Like, I should get above 100 here. And also remember that it's all in English. Talking in English isn't that easy. It's not hard, but in Polish it would be easier. No. After that slow start, that's a very nice end. Oh, whoa. I didn't know that you can scroll here. Was it always possible to scroll? Can you do lectures at colleges? Paid, of course. You know, invited, yes, but it's not that I can give regular classes because I don't have a degree. So, like, you need to be a professor or something to teach at university. Monkey type, I tried it, but it doesn't have this support to play with friends. Would be such a nice score. Isn't coding game just that? Oh yeah, coding game is algorithmic coding versus others. Comments on IOI problems? I didn't do them. I think now I don't know problems from past 2 years. So, you know, teaching at I'm often invited to some university or any kind of group of programmers to give a talk, even a 1 hour talk, but it's not paid, it's just invitational, and I must refuse most of those. I don't have time to go talk to everybody who wants to talk with me. But companies actually, they have money and it's profitable for them to teach their employees. Two big mistakes here in this quote. But I'm surprised that I never thought about this teaching at companies, and I never even heard about it before. Thanks for the UFDS shoutout, we really appreciate it. Yeah, so I did it at the beginning of the stream and now also at the end. You're welcome. Why did you study at university? Why not? After high school, I knew very little. Like really, like I wouldn't be a good engineer for sure. I learned a lot in university. I recommend university. I think it's very stupid not to go to one. I met amazing people. I learned a lot. I didn't graduate, but I don't think that's the point. Is this from Batman? The Dark Knight? And I will guess even further that it was from the mirror scene. Either from the very end or from the interrogation scene. Where's the detonator? Okay, so yeah, the interrogation scene. Okay, let me go through the chat messages. So I will skip this one. Do I have chances in CP if I type only IT WPM? Yes, you do. Above, I don't know, above 60 it doesn't really matter. Like typing 60 versus 150 or just infinitely fast, it will like change your performance by few percent maybe. Oh yeah, it's useful to type fast, but 80, come on. I think you knew well that's very fast. Introducing CF bot. Voice commands. Oh, I don't want voice commands. I remember that second thread made something like that. I don't use assistant even in my phone. What is coding game? You can check it out yourself. This is coding game. But I'm sure you could Google. Maybe coding game with double G wouldn't work. Should look into this blog also. But you gave me a link to all the blogs by one person. Not a single blog. Second thread has his bot hooked up to a lot now. Okay, I know what I can watch. Okay, I think typing is done for now. The coolest lightning blog. Where is it? This. Okay. Or do I want to finish the stream? Wait a second. Somebody comes here for the match today, Italy-Spain. Need to check out if I maybe need to go already. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. But I need to finish after this. Allegius subset convolution. No, I'm too stupid for that. Or maybe I'm too lazy. So answer. There was a question about Codeforces. Her, I know, their series of blocks. all of this. I always wanted to learn stuff like generating functions, and I only could solve very easy problems using them. So here I even didn't start. I think I knew that I need to know first some other things. So no. Tips to become LGM? Practice. Do you hear this? You don't. Still not. Now we do. How to read those mathematical expressions? Learn now.
Good morning. I have a bit of a problem. You see, I've got a boring background, and nobody likes having a boring background. So I decided that instead of just sitting here dealing with my boring background, I'm gonna put something there to make it a bit more interesting.
I'm sure that this piece of video took a lot of time.
Okay, so all the lights are now set up, and on the building front, everything is looking fantastic. What we need to do now is replace the boring default lights that came with it, which are just on or off, just white or nothing, and controlled by a physical switch, with much cooler LED RGB lights, which we can control over Wi-Fi. Then after I do that, I can write a Python script which talks to the lights, and we can control them based on whatever we want. Now I want to control them based on my Codeforces submissions, and I feel like for my YouTube channel, where the main thing I do is programming contests, this would literally be the perfect background, and there's no way to do better than this. I also just kind of want to say, I've done this entire thing in one afternoon. Like literally, it was 7 p.m. when I started unwrapping those boxes, and I'm going to try to finish the entire thing all today. I know Rome wasn't built in a day, but the universe was created in 6. So, you know, and here's the thing, when God created the universe, he didn't even sync his Codeforces submissions to his lights. I'm not trying to compare myself to God here, but one of us is about to make the coolest background imaginable with synced lights to Codeforces submissions, and the other one didn't even bother to create a Codeforces account. I mean, I guess I'll leave it up to you to judge who's better, but it seems kind of self-explanatory, and what can I say? Alright, here we go. Let's jump into the code.
For now, the only thing that bothered me was that 7 p.m. was called an afternoon. Doesn't sound like afternoon to me.
Alright, I'm done coding. What do you say we test it to see if this thing works? So in the future, I'm going to put it probably right here. So when I'm doing contests, you guys will be able to see the light as I'm competing. But for now, I thought I'd put all the lights together and hook them all up all at once. We got them all around the room here. Wake up, Zero.
Always a pleasure meeting you, sir.
Are you ready?
Oh, yes, sir. Always.
Alright, let's submit. Look at that, look at that! Oh, yes. Let's go, let's go. It's running. We did it! Victory! Let's go! All in one afternoon! I'm the best.
Quick pause. I remember how during some training camp we made a script for us during ICPC training to play some music. I think it was DMX's Where the Hood At or something like that whenever we got accepted.
That was so good. Alright, want to try a wrong answer real quick? Alright, we're going to try a wrong answer this time. Hold up, hold up. Look at that. Look at that. Boom. Amazing. This is so good. Literally the best thing ever. Oh, such a great project. Okay. I did all this whole thing all in an afternoon, including wrapping the presents, which took like an hour. So hopefully you enjoyed the intro. Yeah, it's a fun project. If you want your very own announcement for when your problem submissions get correct or incorrect, you can go to cfnotifications.com. I'll link to it in the description. It's totally free. You just type in your handle, and it'll listen for your submissions. So then as soon as you're ready, done with the problem, you're ready to submit it, you can move on to the next one immediately. But you sit there and hit F5. If you want to build your own ones of these, let me know. We can hook stuff up. Yeah, so this is 0. I'll be doing a little bit more with these lights in 0 in the future, and if you're interested in that, I guess let me know. Because there's a lot of cool stuff we can do. I've got this all hooked up programmatically, so I can have it automatically wake me up and everything like that. There's endless possibilities right there. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I thought this was a pretty fantastic project and a pretty amazing solution to the problem I started out with. All right. See you guys next time.
Okay, easy improvement. The lights shouldn't be on just after the submission. It's messed up, I think, like the change, how amazing it was. So here, once you submit, the light goes on, and it's not that different later when it goes red. Like, I wasn't 100% sure that it isn't colored yet. So I would say make it dark and then just bring red or light whenever you get a verdict. I think that would be cool. Obviously, still, that's an amazing idea, and it's cool that somebody in Codeforces community is doing this interesting stuff. And I guess, as I said, some music would be nice as well, and automatic music. And we tested that, which was very annoying, I think, for other teams around us. But what can you do? Yes, I agree. Yellow and submitting, red for wrong answer. The thing is, yellow and red aren't that far away. In particular, don't you agree that this part of the screen is red? I understand that the lights alone are yellow, but everything else in this room looks reddish. So I don't know. I made a screenshot. Blue for submitting? Maybe. Or just do nothing? Well, some indication that it got registered would be nice. So maybe just bring yellow and then red for wrong answer, green for accepted? I'm not sure. Just bring, not light for the whole time. Somebody commented on afternoon. Then I will. (7 p.m. is definitely not afternoon. Can you rate my LeetCode solves? I don't really have time for that. Maybe one stream I will do that. Right. So I didn't share this video with you, in case you want to give a like. That's it for today. Thank you all for watching. Usually I say I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something. Well, today it wasn't really about learning, but we went through a couple of blocks. And once again, free mentoring for Olympiad students. Here you go. See you next time.